Hello, this is Ruby from the Useful Journal. I am at the end of the year and I am at the end of my journal, and I thought I would do a few end of year spreads. I have done these before. For instance, last year I've done this one which covered the news of the year, and I just had a small little bit there for personal stuff. And in the past I've also done goals reviews where I've had a proper goal setting process at the beginning of the year. Where is it? There. I had a proper goal setting process at the beginning of the year, and so at the end of the year I've gone through them and reviewed them. This year I am going to do 4 different spreads. So this one will be the things that have made the biggest impact on me this year. The following page, I'm going to cover my journaling, because if you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I've put a lot of effort into my channel this year and really grown it. Then I've got my goals review, because I had a few goals through the year, so that one kind of will cross over a bit with the other two, but I think it's still worth doing. And then finally is my in the news. So that's pretty much the same as the one I did last year. It's just going through all the big news events of the year. I don't normally do this, but I am going to chat to you while I make them. I have decided to do a school blackboard type thing, which will show a main learning from the year. It's been a really big year for me, lots of changes. I have renovated a house, I've moved, I wasn't working for a large part of the year, lots of big things happening. So what I've got is basically that square there. Now so it's going to be a school blackboard. So this is going to be the kind of timber stands. That's too wide. Oh, maybe not. I've recently changed the blade in this knife, so it's nice and sharp. But this is very thick card, so I still have to press it quite firmly. Now it's got lines down it that way, so let's prop that up with a book. I'm going to have that there and put those. Might be a bit long, so I might make them shorter. I use a metal ruler now when I'm cutting, because I kept cutting chips of plastic off the side of my plastic rulers and then they didn't have a straight edge anymore. So I have 2 sizes of metal ruler, this one and a proper one, big one, which would probably be easier in this case, and I use that when I'm using my knife, because otherwise you damage the ruler. Make a mistake, I've still got a bit of spare, so that's okay. At the beginning of the year, I was not working. Actually, I didn't start working until the middle of September. I had a few bad years, personally and work-wise. Well, the work was good, but it was just, I was a bit burnt out. Last year I learnt that I was ADHD, and that explains why I get burnt out, because I just don't know when to stop and work trying to please people all the time and work beyond my endurance, basically. So I've actually taken a big pay cut this year in the new job, and less responsibility, just so that I can not feel like I owe my workplace every bit of myself, which is how I felt before. I don't like how glue tapes have the huge plastic case. Like, I work in sustainability and it really bothers me. Why does it need to have a tiny bit of glue in these big plastic containers. I mean, these are bad enough. The glue only kind of goes halfway down, and it's just so much packaging. I'm so sick of excess packaging. I work in sustainability, so it's a big deal for me. Because I'm into stationery, you just end up with a lot of plastics and packaging. It's a bit unavoidable sometimes just because of the way things are packaged. But I would love if it didn't have quite so much. Anyway, back to the burnout. So I wasn't working, and I didn't work for most of the year. And I really didn't get the confidence to even look for work until later in the year, because I just didn't feel good enough about myself and safe enough to apply for work. So fortunately, I had the ability to take some time off. I was able to cover my costs, and for that I am incredibly grateful. I don't know what I would have done. I suppose I would have had to have gone back to work and just managed. So very thankful I was able to do that, and spent the year building my YouTube channel basically, and journaling just made me so happy this year. It's something that my mum asked me, like now that I'm working full time again, and I'm living with my mum and keeping an eye on her. She asked me, why do I spend so much time journaling? Like, I need to not do so much. And I'm like, well, it's the one thing I look forward to every week. So I'm not going to stop. So I had a wonderful year just journaling. But, lots of other things happened this year too. So on top of, this is my ADHD brain jumping back and forth. This is probably why I don't talk normally while I'm crafting. I feel like doing purple, but I don't know if purple goes, but hey, anyway, I'll do it anyway. Right, so I'll do my, should I do a shading? Takes a lot longer. Should I test it or just do it? I'll just do it. Gotta trust my instincts. So on top of having that year where I was trying to center myself again and feel good about myself again, and it's still working on that, it's not something you can just suddenly do, I got a bit lonely, you know. When you're not working and you're home on your own all day, you don't see as many people, and I struggle to ask people for help anyway, and don't want to feel like I'm dumping myself on people. So I'm not very good at that anyway. And then on top of that, you're home alone and not feeling great about yourself. Anyway, I got a bit lonely. And then Mum was talking about possibly moving into a retirement village, but she wasn't ready to go yet, and she was also feeling lonely, and she loves her garden and wanted to be able to do stuff with that still, and so she just basically wasn't ready to move into a retirement village. My mum is turned 80 recently. She still works. She's one of these overachieving academic type people, and she still writes textbooks, and so you can imagine she has kept on working, and it's a big part of her identity, so it's going to be a big change for her. And I thought, you know what, I usually get on pretty well with Mum. She had a couple of operations this year, so I decided to finish renovating my house that I own in Sydney and come and live out with Mum outside Sydney in the Highlands. I find Sydney is just getting hotter and hotter every year. It's crazy. Like next week it's going to be 40 degrees Celsius. It's just never ending, the increasing heat. So I was kind of keen to get out of Sydney. And so I thought, you know what, I'll come and live with Mum, keep an eye on her, and it'll be good for me too. I spent the first half of the year finishing. I'd already done some renovations. I just had a few other bits and pieces in the landscaping to fix. I moved out here. I had to pack up my house. Now, you would think it's not that hard. I just had to pack up my house and then move into another house. And the hard thing was, firstly, nearly everything had to go in storage because Mum has a full house of furniture. I had a full house of furniture. That was the first challenge, was just working out where to put everything. That was a hard thing too, just coming into someone else's space that they like using a certain way. Right, I've got to draw this person sitting on the stool, and I'm terrible at drawing people, so I've actually downloaded a picture on Pinterest to guide me. It was okay for the first month or so, but look, my mum, she's quite critical and she's quite controlling, and so it hasn't been the easiest year. Coming to live here was not a simple solution that was easy and straightforward. I still love my mum, don't worry, I'm not hating on her or anything. I feel like the person is tiny and the blackboard is huge. And it feels like they're under it, not in front of it. You know what, I think I'm going to rub this whole thing out and I'm going to do it on a separate bit of paper so I can put it in front of the blackboard. And the other reason it's been hard, I've lost my friend base. I have to go back to Sydney a fair bit to see them. I am going to do my person sitting a bit bigger and with their head in front of the board because it just looked really small and under the board. I think it definitely needs to be in front of the board. Oh, now I've got to draw it again. What a hassle. And you'll see why I'm talking about this, because it relates to what I'm going to write on this blackboard. Isn't that funny? Like the first time I kind of needed to look at the picture, but the second time I feel like I had more of a handle on it. Right, so now I'm just going to pen this. This paper is not great. I'm just going to keep it rough. I kind of like these rougher sort of finishes. Sketchy. I have come so far with my drawing. It's a real, like, if I can come this far, because I was not good at drawing when I started out journaling 5 years ago. Everyone always talks about practice, practice, practice. They're so right. It is literally just a lot of practice. There we go. Now, I'm going to let that dry a little bit before I start rubbing it out, because I don't trust this paper. What I'm going to do is fussy cut around it. Let's see, hopefully it doesn't smear. It's so nice when you finally get to the stage where you can look at your work and go, hey, I don't mind this. It's okay. Against, now see, look, it tears. It's rubbish paper. This actually looks kind of cool. So let's put some glue on the back with my glue stick. This glue is a leftover of Mum's, and it's gotten a bit, it's not very young, let's just say. It's a little bit old, and so it's a little bit tacky, but it definitely works. Just get it everywhere and it's really gloopy. That looks kind of cool, having that in front of the board instead of under it. I am very happy with that. If you want to do a reflection on your year, you don't need to do this. You can just have this is damp. It'll help me stick it down without it sticking to whatever I'm using to stick it down. Okay. that will do. I'm not going to touch it again because that paper really is rubbish. I'm just going to go and wash my hands. The other problem with moving out here was, hey, I still didn't have a job. Don't forget that. Like, I didn't have a job, so I had to get a job when I moved out here. And that took a few months. And the problem with Sydney is that there's lots and lots of jobs in Sydney, but there's no jobs outside Sydney in regional areas. I had to try and find a job. I did go for a couple in Sydney, but the commute would have been 2 hours each way. The whole thing about being out here was spending time with Mum. I did get one, but it took me a few months. Thankfully, got a local one, love it. It's in my environment field, so all good. I just have to stop talking for a second because I can't talk and write at the same time, apparently. It's important to say this because, and that's why I gave you a little bit of background, is that she can be a bit critical, and that's why I'm writing, because this is my big learning this year, and I've been getting a sense of needing to feel better about myself and not rely on other people to pump me up. I'll write it like this, and I'm just going to do like a print, you know when you write in a chalkboard and it's a bit rough, and so I'm going to start up here. Actually, I'm going to sharpen my pencil. Prismacolors are just so nice to work with. Love Prismacolors. So this is what's going to be on my chalkboard. So I'm pretty happy with that. That looks really cool. So that is my big late statement of learning from this year, and what I'm going to do is just in black ink on this side I'm going to write down a few things that have happened, like just covering a bit of what I've talked to you about, so just running through a little bit of what's happened. I've went too far down here. I wish it had stopped there because, well, I could put paper over that. I'm just going to put some liquid tape over it as well. It has a little bit of ghosting through. There we go. Could always put washi tape down there if I really hate it. Should I put some washi tape either side? Doesn't go at the top as well. This is new washi tape that I got from, well, it's MT, which is one of my favourite brands. They're really good quality. I entered their art contest this year. That was another thing I did this year, was I won a prize in an art contest. That's much better. I'm glad I covered that over. I had to make a grid guide for this journal because the dots aren't 5mm, they're a bit off. And so it doesn't line up properly with a ruler. It's all good. I'm so happy with how this bit turned out though. I feel like this blackboard needs a bit of shading. There we go, that's better. Right, next I have my journaling year, and this is going to be a completely different page. Okay, the phone's out again because I am going to look at my journaling year, and I need to look at the big focus this year has been my YouTube, although my Instagram has started picking up again. And I am going to do a graph across the page that reflects my watch time. With YouTube, you have to get to 4,000 hours before you can start earning money from YouTube for ads that are shown during your videos. I currently spend a huge amount of time doing my YouTube videos and YouTube channel, but I get paid 0 cents. I haven't earned anything from journal companies either. You might be wondering, because I do a lot of journal reviews, do I earn money from journal companies? No, I don't. I haven't actually been approached by any of them. I'm going to show this graph on my page for my journaling year. So I'm going to have that across the top. Then I'm going to have the title, which is my journaling year. So I've got my personal year, my journaling year, and then I'll just have a few other bits and pieces and highlights down the bottom, a bit like I've done here. So nothing super fancy. Because this journal doesn't have a 5mm grid, so normally in a normal journal you would easily be able to do 52 easily, like 26 would be 52 weeks is what I'm trying to get at. 52 weeks would be easy in this journal because I've actually got a 5mm grid. In this one I don't. I've got columns across. I've got 24 columns. If I include these two, so I get 25, so that gives me 50 across if I count the two middle ones, and I can get my 52 weeks if I use the outside column as well. It's going to go right across the double page spread, right through the middle, right over to the very edge of the page because I have to. This stamp set, and I can use the lowercase. So I thought that I would get to 4,000 hours easily. I got serious about my YouTube channel last October when I stopped working, and I thought, it'll be easy, and it has not been easy. Oh my goodness, what have I done? Why hasn't that worked? Oh, I know why, because not every month has, oh my gosh, I'm an idiot. Not every month has 4 weeks, Ruby. All right. Oh gosh. Let me look at a calendar for the year and work out how to fix this. I'm a goose. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so 13 is the end of March. So that's a good marker for the end of March. 22, 23, 24, 25, 26. Look at that. June ended exactly on the 26th, so that's good. I am so happy that I am still getting there, like it's still increasing. Fortunately, I love doing it. My battery is struggling a bit here, so I'm just going to quickly show you what I'm going to do, and then I'll do it, and then you can come back in afterwards while my camera charges. So I am just using these washi tapes, and I'm basically going to do a bar chart for whatever level I got up to for that week, and that's just how it's going to look. So join me again when I've finished, and hopefully my battery will be back in service afterwards. Okay, so I have done the weekly totals throughout the year for watch time, and I've just got 2 to go. I've just been using these 4 tapes. I've just got 2 weeks to go. This week's not quite finished, and then obviously I've got the week between the Christmas and New Year, so I will put them in later. I want to put stamps here for my journaling year. The good thing about using Tombos to mark your stamps is that because they're water-based, they're just going to wash off. Nice and easy. Really simple way of doing it. It's neater. You're not getting stamp ink everywhere. Oh, I could put some figures about the number of journals I've reviewed and a few other things like that. So I've got 710 subscribers. That's what I'm going to do in this space down here. Okay, I've had to move to another room. I already did this one with you, and in the end what I added to here was just a few stats about my journaling this year, things I'm proud of, and I love the feedback I get from the journaling community, so I'm really happy with how that spread turned out. I have had second thoughts about doing a goals page just because I didn't really have many goals this year. I was trying to take pressure off myself, and so I didn't do it. I'll leave that page blank. What I am going to do is start the news page. Now, in the past, I have done a bit of a layout, that like a camera lens, things like that. This year, I am going to do a newspaper. I'm going to start by adding a little bit of colour around the outside with this washi tape. So let's just do this around the edges. New washi tape, so keen to give it a try. Another one from MT. Please tell me if this has just been way too much talking. I am happy to take feedback and try new ideas. I don't normally do videos like this, so I thought it might be a nice change. And what I've been doing is going through news articles online, what I remember stood out for me in the news, and working out what to put in my newspaper. I've printed this out on my little pulley printer. You can get I do have sticker paper for it, but I find the print quality is a little bit better on paper. It's a thermal print, so it's not particularly long lasting. What was I calling it? The World Times. I really like having a summary of the news. I started doing it when we had that year of COVID, and so much happened in that year, and I was like, I think it's important to remember stuff like this. So that's when I started doing this, and I've kept on doing it because I think it's important to remember. I mean, hey, we've got the internet and it's not exactly hard to go and look up this stuff, but I don't know, when you're doing a spread like this, you look up a few other things too and read up a little bit about a few extra things that might not have got your attention quite so much when they happened. And then leave a few gaps here because there's probably more to say. That's basically the idea. I might put an extra picture in here, but I won't finish it just yet because there's still a couple of weeks, and at the end of the year they tend to release really good news summaries of the year, so I will probably fill in some more bits and pieces then, but basically that's what it's going to look like. Today what we've done is we have summarised my personal year, which is basically the big things that impacted me this year, and then a takeaway for me to remember for next year. And then my journaling year, which covers my watch time, because that has been a huge focus for me this year, trying to get to 4,000 hours of watch time. I gained 710 subscribers, and there's a few other cool little factoids there, like I reviewed 20 different dot grid journals on top of the ones that I'd already reviewed. I did 98 videos altogether, and there was a whole lot more short videos on top of that. I even grew my Instagram, which surprised me. And then I have my World News 2024, which is meant to look a bit like a newspaper. It only sort of does, but let's put an extra line here. So this is my newspaper layout, and I'm going to add another photo and some more articles towards the end of the year when I've got a better, an easier way to find out the key highlights or lowlights of the year. So I hope you found that interesting. Yours might be a little bit more positive than mine. I've had a very difficult year, but I mean, there was lots of positives too. I went dog sledding in Canada. I discovered bird watching and discovered that I loved it. I got a great new job. I renovated my house, so I did some cool stuff as well. So yeah, don't limit yourself. You can summarize the year in terms of anything. Like if you've got a favorite sport, you might do a whole page just summarizing what has happened for that sport this year. So yeah, knock yourself out. Have a fantastic rest of the year, and I will be doing a few more videos this year just around journal setups for January. So I will see you for those, and yeah, happy holidays. Bye.